It was a crisp autumn morning when everything shattered. The air was thick with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and burnt toast, a typical start to the day. I stepped onto the polished marble floors of Sterling Finance, my thoughts racing about the big presentation looming just hours away. I had prepared for months, meticulously dissecting every trend and number, injecting my own brand of creativity into the sterile world of finance. Little did I know that would all come crashing down around me. "Jake, can you come in for a second?" My heart sank. When my manager's voice echoed from the office doorway, it felt like the floor had dropped beneath me. I nodded, my stomach knotting in unease. As I walked in, I could see my colleagues' pitying glances follow me. This wasn't the first time a colleague had walked out of that office, head hung low, but I never thought it would be me. "Jake, we have to let you go. It's nothing personal," she stammered, her eyes darting away from mine. The words felt like a slap. The shock was suffocating. I stood there, fighting back a rush of emotions. "But the numbers, my reports." "Your reports were altered. We found discrepancies. We can't keep you here." The room blurred for a moment as reality sank in. I had poured my heart and soul into my work. Who could possibly want me out? Stumbling out of the building, I was met by cool air that felt almost mocking against my devastating loss. My phone vibrated, pulling me back to reality. It was my former rival, Lisa. "Got fired, huh?" She smirked through the screen. "Funny how things work out." "Funny isn't the word I'd use," I snapped back, anger bubbling. Her laughter was tinged with something else, a triumphant glee I couldn't shake. My instincts screamed that there was more at play here. Something told me that my termination wasn't as clean as it seemed. In that moment, the need for answers ignited a fire in my chest. I wasn't ready to back down. I began my investigation the very next day, diving headfirst into every email, every ledger, and every suspicious glow from computers that seemed to hold more than just numbers. The more I unraveled, the more tangled the web became. I discovered a connection between Lisa and a tech prodigy named Ethan, known for his uncanny ability to navigate corporate data without a trace. But his playful demeanor masked something darker, and I wasn't sure I could trust him either. As whispers of betrayal and deceit elevated the urgency of my quest, I sought out a mentor, Tom. He'd been a strategist during Sterling's peak, offering insights and guidance. Yet every conversation lingered with a taste of doubt. Did he even care about truth, or was he just protecting his own interests? Before I continue unraveling this dark tapestry, a quick alert for you who follow our stories. YouTube has been known to remove subscriptions recently, so why not double-check if you're still subscribed? A quick like supports the channels. Thank you. Now, back to the heart-pounding moment. I was inching closer to the truth, but I could feel the shadows closing in. What had I stumbled upon? And who was really pulling the strings in this corporate masquerade? The tension thickened, every revelation a step deeper into a maze of unrelenting questions. As I braced myself for an unexpected confrontation, I couldn't shake the feeling that my life was about to change forever. I could almost hear the pulse of impending chaos echoing in my ears. But what awaited me next would test not only my resolve, but everything I believed about my former allies. Would I like what I found? The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees as I pulled up to Sterling Finance's parking lot once again. It had only been a few days since I'd left in disgrace, but my mind was buzzing with possibilities. Every instinct urged me to turn back, but I was already too far gone. My heart raced with urgency, each beat pounding louder as I recalled every data point and correlation that had drawn me into this labyrinth of deceit. I moved stealthily through the main entrance, blending into the hustle and bustle of employees who seemed blissfully unaware of the brewing storm just beneath the surface. My thoughts raced back to Lisa, her triumphant smirk flashing in my mind. She thrived on competition. Could she be behind my downfall? I needed to know. As I took a deep breath and approached my old desk, I was overwhelmed by a sense of loss. But more importantly, I felt a spark of defiance igniting within me. Sitting down, I powered up my computer, knowing it could be my ticket to unraveling the corporate intrigue. I typed ever so carefully, accessing files I previously thought safe. What I was searching for lay hidden beneath layers of spreadsheets and corporate jargon, but I was no stranger to deception. I had dissected numbers for a living. My fingers sailed over the keyboard, emotions swirling from determination to trepidation. What if I uncovered something that would simply lead me into a labyrinthine trap? Just as I was about to dig into an older report that had been marked as confidential, an alert popped up on my screen, an encrypted file buried deep within the archives. My heart skipped a beat. The encryption meant it was likely sensitive information. I felt my pulse quicken. Was this the treasure trove I had been desperately seeking? The name on the file sent a shiver down my spine. Ethan. Could he have been the puppeteer behind this whole charade? A soft knock interrupted my concentration. I turned slowly, my heart racing as I faced Tom, my former mentor. The look in his eyes was inscrutable, blending concern with curiosity. "Jake, what are you doing here?" His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Just catching up on some old work," I replied, feigning nonchalance, even as my mind raced to weigh his loyalty. Was he an ally or a threat? The way he stood there concerned me. I once thought him a man of integrity, but what if his past and mine were interwoven in a way I couldn't yet see? "Be careful," he cautioned, glancing around as if the walls had ears. "There's talk of restructuring, and not everyone is happy." I sensed an unspoken warning in his words, but curiosity kept me tethered. I needed to know where his true loyalties lay. "Tell me, Tom, what do you really know about Lisa and Ethan?" I probed, a sense of urgency defining my tone. A flicker of surprise crossed his face. "Why do you ask?" Right then, I froze. This was it. I felt the walls closing in. With every question, the truth beckoned, its alluring promise whispering in my ear. But would it lead to enlightenment or oblivion? Tom hesitated, the weight of secrets pressing heavily on both of us. "I can't just let it go, can I?" I said, my voice barely a murmur, as I realized that to uncover the truth would mean dealing with the very people I once trusted the most. But the stakes had never been higher. And if I didn't take the leap now, I may lose not just my job, but my very sense of self. Before Tom could answer, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I held it out, the message illuminating the screen, revealing just 3 simple words. "Meet me tonight." My heart raced, and I felt the threads of fate tugging me in unknown directions. Was this a setup, or was I finally touching the fringes of understanding? With each twist, the plot thickened, and I was left standing on the precipice of an unimaginable revelation. I couldn't turn back now. The next chapter was beckoning me closer to the heart of this treacherous game. Would tonight finally shed light on the identities cloaked in shadows? Only time would tell as I prepared for the dangerous encounter ahead. The chill of the evening air wrapped around me like a cloak as I parked outside the usual diner. It wasn't just any diner. It was where many whispered deals and secrets unfolded over steaming cups of coffee and slices of pie. I surveyed the surroundings, tension gnawing at my insides. My heart thudded with uncertainty, every instinct on high alert as I scanned for any familiar faces lurking in the dark corners. I had no idea who would actually show up to this meeting. Were they allies or enemies? Was I stepping into danger, or was there a chance that this could finally untangle the web that had ensnared me? As the familiar neon sign flickered above me, I reminded myself of the stakes. No turning back now. Pushing through the door, the warmth engulfed me. I slid into a booth in the back, the vinyl seat sticky from years of neglected spills. The waitress approached with a tired smile, and I ordered a black coffee to steady my nerves. My mind raced, flipping through my mental notes on Lisa, Ethan, and even Tom. Each person held a piece of this puzzle, but I still felt like I was playing a game without knowing all the rules. As I sipped my coffee, a shadow fell over the table. I looked up, my breath hitching. Ethan stood there, an easy grin on his face, yet there was something unnerving in his eyes, almost predatory. "Hey Jake, glad you could make it," he said smoothly, sliding into the booth across from me. "What do you want, Ethan?" I replied, trying to mask my suspicion with bravado. I had seen the way he maneuvered through corporate life, a snake blending seamlessly with the grass. "Come on, don't you want to know what's really happening at Sterling?" His tone was playful, but I could hear the underlying seriousness. "Things are about to get interesting." "I'm not interested in your games," I shot back, though the curiosity gnawed at me. I needed to hear him out. "Why should I trust you?" "Trust is overrated, but information, that's valuable," he countered, leaning closer. "You've stumbled onto something bigger than you realize, Jake. Lisa is not the only player. There are people in positions you wouldn't even conceive who are manipulating everything. I'll help you understand it." Before I could respond, a figure slipped into the booth beside Ethan. It was Lisa, her usually polished appearance now shadowed by a veil of anxiety. "Ethan, we can't do this here. It's too risky," she urged, her tone a mix of fear and authority. "Too late for that," Ethan replied, his smile fading into a mask of seriousness as he waved a hand dismissively. "The clock is ticking. You need to know who you're up against, Jake." The air thickened with tension as I exchanged glances with both of them. Lisa's eyes darted, holding something back, while Ethan exuded confidence that both intrigued and terrified me. Part of me wanted to walk away, but the pull of the hidden truth was magnetic. I leaned in closer, spine straightening in resolve. "All right, let's hear it. But if this is another game..." My voice trailed off, the warning hanging heavy between us. Ethan's gaze locked onto mine, his demeanor shifting. "Let's just say there are forces at play that even you didn't see coming. You might think you were just a pawn, but you've got a far bigger role in this than you realize." "Get to the point," I pressed, urgency building as the hole in my heart for understanding deepened. With a flick, Ethan slid a piece of paper across the table, his expression deadly serious. "Where it begins, Jake, is right here. All it takes is one small shift to topple their empire." I grabbed the paper, and my heart plummeted. It was a list of names, some familiar to me, but others were whispers of shadows hidden in the depths of the corporate sea. This is insane," I stammered, possibilities racing through my mind like wildfire. "And if you think you can back out now," Lisa interjected, her tone steely, "then you'll just become another number in their game. Are you in or out?" The air was electric, and as I looked between them, I knew I stood at a crossroads. But there was one undeniable truth looming before me. If I wanted justice, if I wanted to reclaim my life, I needed to dive deep into this darkness head on. "I'm in," I finally declared, adrenaline surging through me. A new chapter was unfolding, one that promised to either make or break me in the ruthless world of corporate greed. And as those words escaped my lips, I felt the weight of the unknown. And the danger drawing closer, the tension coiling tighter around us like an inevitable storm. With the path before me set and a grim determination in my heart, the game had officially changed. What lay ahead would be a clash of wills and uncovering secrets that could shatter more than just reputations. But for now, I was ready to confront whatever shadows awaited me next. As the sun dipped below the skyline, casting long shadows across the city, I could feel the weight of that decision hanging heavy in the air. I had crossed an invisible line into the unknown, ready to uncover the truth behind Sterling Finance and the puppet masters pulling the strings. Ethan leaned back in the booth, the corner of his mouth quirked in an expression I couldn't quite decipher. "Good choice, Jake. The game is just getting started, and you might just be the ace we need to turn this around." His enigmatic demeanor only fueled my unease. "Let's just be clear," I replied, intensifying my gaze on him and then quickly shifting to Lisa. "If we're going to do this, I need full transparency, no more secrets." Lisa nodded, albeit warily. "Fair enough. But you have to understand, the people we're dealing with aren't just colleagues. They're vicious and ruthless. You'll need to be ready for whatever comes next." "What's our first step?" I asked, trying to keep my composure while the adrenaline coursed through my veins. Ethan straightened up, pulling out a pen and the now crumpled piece of paper with the names. "Here's the deal. We can't just storm in and confront them. We need intel. No, we need evidence that their empire is built on deception." Lisa leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "We've got an insider at Sterling, a whistleblower who's gathered enough data on the financial irregularities straight from the source. But accessing that data won't be easy." "Who?" I demanded, feeling the stakes rise with each passing moment. "Someone you've probably overlooked," Ethan said, smirking slightly. "Remember Alan, the guy in compliance? He's tired of covering for the wrongdoing. He might help us if we approach him the right way." I nodded, recognizing Alan, a quiet guy with a penchant for detail. It made sense that he would be the type to record troubling patterns in the spreadsheets. Yet I couldn't shake off the worry that approaching him might put him at risk. "Let's meet him tonight," I decided. "But we need a plan. If this is as dangerous as you say, we can't just waltz in without backup." Ethan tapped his fingers against the table, his eyes glimmering with mischief. "I've got a few tech tricks up my sleeve. I can set up surveillance gear to ensure we don't walk into a trap. We'll need to be careful. The walls at Sterling have ears." Despite the tension curling tightly in my stomach, an unexpected thrill surged through me. I was straddling the line between danger and discovery, and I couldn't help but think about how far I had come since my life imploded just days ago. Would I really be able to unravel this web of deceit? We finished our coffee, pooling our thoughts for the long night ahead. As we left the diner, the crisp air wrapped around us like a shroud. Outside, the city pulsed beneath a blanket of twinkling lights, a stark contrast to the darkness wrapping around our mission. When we arrived at Sterling Finance, the building loomed ominously against the night sky. The usual hum of office lights shined through the glass windows, casting reflections of the corporate shadows that had tormented me. My heart raced, but I reminded myself of my purpose. I had to see this through. "Ethan, set up the gear on the east side," I instructed. "Lisa, you coordinate with Alan. Keep it casual. No need to raise suspicions." Lisa put on her game face, determination setting in as she moved off in search of Alan. Her instincts were sharp, and despite our complicated history, I couldn't deny that she was a formidable ally in this fragile alliance. Ethan and I positioned ourselves outside the compliance office, an unassuming space towards the back of the floor. He plugged in a small device that would capture everything said. My heart raced at the thought of listening in on the truth behind the veil. "Ready?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. I nodded, glancing through the glass walls, searching for any sign of Alan. Just then, I saw the flicker of his familiar presence as he approached his desk. "Let's hope he's ready to break the silence," I murmured, the anticipation tightening my throat. Minutes later, Lisa re-emerged, her expression bordering between exhilaration and anxiety. "He's in, but he's nervous," she said under her breath. "We need to keep it low-key." The tension in the air thickened with every heartbeat. I positioned myself even closer to the entrance to the compliance office, each second feeling like an eternity. Just as the clock struck 8, Alan walked into the office, visibly shaking. "Okay, this is our moment," I said quietly, little time left to prepare. "We can't mess this up." Inside the compliance office, the words exchanged grew softer, the weight of the moment amplifying every hushed tone. I couldn't make out every detail, but the low rumble of Alan's voice raised alarms in the pit of my stomach. The stakes had never felt higher. "I can't keep covering for this. It goes against everything I believe in." Alan's voice echoed faintly through the device. "Numbers don't lie, and what I've seen—" His voice trailed off, a hesitant pause stretching the tension taut. "What you've seen," Lisa nudged in. "Is it about the discrepancies we've spoken of?" Suddenly, the urgency transformed into a palpable urgency. Alan was opening up, weaving a narrative that could potentially unravel the entire facade that Sterling had so carefully constructed. My breath caught in my throat as I anticipated the revelation, the danger rippling through the very air we breathed. "People's careers are at stake," he whispered. "I can't just sit back and let this happen anymore. I need to do something before it's too late." The silence hung heavily in the air. It was the moment I'd been waiting for. Alan's voice was about to unravel the thread of this intricately woven web, implicating powerful players in a game I hadn't even fully grasped. What happened next would reverberate through every corridor of Sterling. I felt a feral energy surging within me as I realized the enormity of what we were on the cusp of uncovering. This was bigger than I had imagined, and suddenly the weight of my own life surged to the forefront. Would the truth set us free, or would it be the trigger that pulled us into deeper danger? As Alan took a deep breath, poised to reveal the secrets behind the numbers, the shadows around us seemed to shift, and I realized that though I was ready to finally unravel this corporate mystery, the impending storm promised chaos, like a rolled-up paper tossed into a roaring flame. And just like that, I felt the contours of the game shifting yet again, the path before me leading toward an inevitable confrontation that could define everything. The countdown was on, and I braced myself for a revelation that would transform us all forever. The moment truth clenched its unforgiving grip, I knew I wouldn't be able to walk away unscathed. The clock was ticking, and within those walls, history was about to repeat itself in ways I couldn't begin to fathom. In this twisted gambit of allies and enemies, one question loomed. Who would be left standing once the dust settled? And as Alan's voice quivered, teasing at hidden truths, I steeled myself for the moment that could turn the tides of our fate forever. Only the next chapter would tell the tale of who emerged victorious in this relentless game of shadows. As I stood outside the compliance office, adrenaline coursing through my veins, I knew we were on the brink of something monumental. Alan's hesitant voice echoed in my mind, simmering with each revealing word. "I can't just sit back." Suddenly, a loud crash broke through the silence. The office door burst open, and in stormed a figure, a stern face shadowed by authority. "What's going on here?" It was Tom. "Tom?" I stammered, disbelief flooding my thoughts. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," he shot back, urgency knitting his brows. "They know. We need to get out, now." Panic ensued as Lisa and Ethan exchanged bewildered glances, my heart plummeting. I couldn't abandon our mission. We were close to exposing the truth that could topple the empire that had ruined my life. "Alan!" I shouted, eyes darting to his desk. He had gone pale, caught in the middle of this unforeseen chaos. "You need to trust us. We're on your side." Tom shot daggers at me. "This isn't a game. They'll do anything to protect their interests." In that moment, I realized something crucial. I had to take control. "We can't leave empty-handed," I insisted, voice steadying despite the chaos. "We need evidence, Alan. Now!" The tension hung, thick and electric, and then Alan's resolve hardened. "You're right. Let's expose them." As we huddled together, Alan pulled out a flash drive containing the damning evidence, a roadmap of their deceit. The danger was palpable, but so was our determination. "Let's go," Tom urged, his tone finally bearing urgency. As we slipped out of that office, I felt a new fire igniting within me. It was time to turn the tables. Out in the open, danger lurked, yet the promise of resolution pulsed through me. We were no longer pawns, we were players, ready to unmask the puppeteers. With each step, every one of us knew the risk. But as I glanced back at the building that once held my ambition captive, I felt a sense of empowerment rising within me. This was our fight. Later, as we drove into the night, I turned to my team, a newfound spirit of unity binding us together against formidable odds. "Once this goes public, they won't know what hit them," I declared, fueled by hope and the adrenaline of our shared mission. As dawn began to break over the city, I knew we were heading toward an inevitable confrontation with the powerful forces of sterling finance. And as the horizon brightened, my heart swelled with determination. I was ready to face whatever came next. If you've enjoyed this relentless journey of betrayal and redemption, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Together, we can explore more stories of resilience and truth. Stay tuned for what lies ahead, because this saga is just beginning.